Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan, and welcome to Dylan the Truth podcast. If you guys are new to this channel, I would like for you guys to subscribe to it and also hit that like button. Deeply appreciated. Now, this segment is about Nick Nurse. Just got the breaking news that the Toronto Raptors fired him as the head coach. Um, to say that I'm surprised, I can't say that I am surprised. I actually seen this one coming. If anyone was paying attention to the post game press conference that he was reflecting on the years when he was a coach for the Raptors. Now, normally when somebody has to reflect in the like from the past, like about what they did for the organization or whatever it is, that means they're out the door. They knew what it was. So the writing was on the wall. Um, but before I get into what led him getting fired, I just want to highlight some of the stuff that he did for the Raptors as a head coach. So Nick Nurse spent basically a decade with the organization. He first served as a assistant head coach under assistant coach under Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey was the head coach at the time until he got fired, and then they promoted Nick Nurse in 2018. My issue that I had with Dwayne Casey's offense was very predictable. What he would normally do is give the ball to Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan, and they basically take turns on who's gonna score or whatnot. So it leaves everybody else just standing on an island, just waiting for the ball. Hopefully they could get it and just shoot. It made their offense way too predictable. So their opponents knew how to guard them. They knew going into the series that they were gonna win it. Now with Nick Nurse becoming the head coach, he set more motion offense where everybody gets to touch the ball. There's off ball screens, backdoor screens. Guys are cutting. It's like like poetry in motion, and that's how you're supposed to be playing. When you have a team, you're supposed to use a whole team. It's not just a two-man game or a two-man team. You have to use your whole squad, and that's how you end up winning the championship. Um, if you look at his record as a head coach, he won 227 games and he lost like 163. For the 5 years as being the head coach for the Raptors, that's pretty good. Um, he also helped the Raptors win their one and only championship in 2018-2019 campaign. It was a special moment for the Raptors, for Canada in a whole. It was a big moment. Obviously, I'm wearing the championship hat. I got the photo behind me, the championship squad right here. That's a special moment I'll never forget. It was a great year. It was a great run. Um, I mean, he's obviously an integral part of what they were doing as far as like the defensive schemes. The way he ran his offense. Depending on their opponents, he would know how to adjust on the fly, which is very important because sometimes you can't just go into a game just assuming, okay, this is how we're gonna guard this a certain team. They might switch it up on you, so you have to have a counter attack for that, and which he has done really well. And that's why he was one of the coaches that would take chances. He ran a box one for defense. That's the last time you heard that was in high school, and he used that defense in NBA. That should tell you that he takes risk, and he's a phenomenal coach, no doubt about it. With them winning that championship that year, he became one of the 9 head coaches to win a title its first season as a head coach. that's that's pretty amazing because there's not too many coaches that could do that. It usually takes them maybe 3 to 4 years to get that championship, but it took him 1 year. Now, obviously, we had Kawhi. We had a lot of depth. Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, Norman Powell. Yes, Pascal Siakam, Van Fleet, Danny Green. I mean, this team was loaded, um, and they were very defensive minded. And I always said to win a championship, there's two things you have to do. Obviously, you got to score, but the other two things that's important is rebounding and defense. Without that, you're not winning no championship. I don't care how skilled you are offensively. If you're not doing those two things, you will not win a championship. Um, but yeah, now I have to talk about what led him to get fired. Um, like I said, all those things that I just mentioned, he did a lot of great things as the head coach for the Raptors. But I felt this season, maybe even last season as well, he has a tendency of just using a 7-man rotation instead of like using his whole bench. Rest the starters so they could be fresh in the fourth quarter and have a little more energy. Instead, he only just runs like a 7-man rotation. The starters get burnt out in the fourth quarter, and they're not able to finish the games like they like to. But Nick Nurse was stuck in his ways. It looked like he didn't want to change what he was doing. And I felt like, man, there's so many young players, so many young talented players on the bench. Why don't you just use them? Give them a shot. You never know what you might find. You might find a diamond in the rough that's on the bench sitting there, waiting the whole time. But I felt that was my only knock on Nick Nurse. If Nick Nurse had done that, I mean, I think they would have been in a better position in the East. I mean, this year was a bit rough. They finished ninth in the East. They had to be in the play-in. So when you're in the ninth and 10th seed, that means that's a sudden death game. So winner moves on. The loser goes home. And the Raptors lost to Chicago Bulls, which was a heartbreaking loss because they were up by 19 points. They had control of the game. A lot of things happen. They're blaming DeRozan's daughter for why they were missing free throws. I mean, are you kidding me? You go to arenas that have 19, 20,000 people screaming, saying derogatory things, and you're worried about a little girl screaming in the game while you're shooting free throws, and that's why you guys miss 19 free throws, or was it 18? I think it was 18 or 19 free throws. If you had made those free throws, you would have been in the playoffs right now. Because I believe, had they beat Chicago, I believe they would have beat Miami, which would have mean that Raptors would have faced the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I'm not going to say that they would have beat the Milwaukee Bucks, but I'm sure they could have put up a fight. But, they squandered that opportunity, and here they are now. I knew Nick Nurse was going to get fired. I knew this was it. Because if anyone knows Masai Ujiri is a cutthroat type of guy. If he sees an opportunity to make the team better by any means necessary, he will trade, a couple of his best players for, players that fit the offense or whatever scheme that they have. So the word is that Ime Udoka, who was the former head coach for the Boston Celtics, is basically the front runner to be the next head coach for Toronto Raptors. I wouldn't mind if he becomes the coach. If you remember last season, when he was a coach, he took the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals. Obviously, they fell short to the Golden State Warriors, losing that series 4-2. But nonetheless, that's a huge accomplishment to take the team to the NBA Finals your first year. It says a lot. So obviously, he's a great defensive-minded coach. He does have a bit of offense set run, or I should say, like he has like a offensive play for the players. But mainly, I think they have him for like defensive schemes because you have to play to your strength. So I mean, I wouldn't mind if they get him as a head coach. That would be nice. Now, as far as like Nick Nurse, what would be his next destination? Who knows? I mean, there are a couple teams that's looking at him, but wherever he goes, he will do well. He is a great coach. Um, he's it's just he needs to use his bench a little bit more. Not just a 7-man rotation. You got to use the whole team. You got to give the starters some rest, and it'll go a long way. Especially like if you're trying to make a deep run, like going forward to make it to the playoffs, possibly try to play for a championship. You have to use your bench. If you have the depth, take advantage of it because a lot of teams don't have depth. They rely on maybe one or two players, maybe even three, and that's their whole offense. That's their whole team. Once you neutralize those three guys, they're pretty much toast. So, I mean, I wish Nick Nurse the best. I'll never talk bad about him. He did a lot of good things for Toronto Raptors, and he's beloved here for sure. So, wish him all the best. Um, but yeah, that is my take on Nick Nurse getting fired from the Raptors. Till next time, peace.